Hello, everyone. Yes, I'm Emma. I am a late diagnosed ADHD woman. So I was diagnosed in 2018 when I was 42, and was diagnosed with fibromyalgia 2019, just before the pandemic. Um, I've always had depression, anxiety, and then more recently, in the last few years, I was diagnosed with a complex PTSD, which comes from childhood trauma. So I was raised by a narcissistic mother, and kept away from my dad, my real dad, and um, you know, I have a tendency to tangent. I also have a tendency to use humour. So if I say anything that you may perceive that is insensitive or is um, upsets you, then please just ask me a question about it, because that's how I've learned to manage my um, daily life. I think is just by, it's not taking the mickey out of myself. It's just by talking about it in a humorous way that makes sense to me. Um, I don't just have fibro, so I don't just live with chronic pain. I have arthritis. I have trigeminal neuralgia, which is a nerve pain in my face. I have sciatica, so I get nerve pain down both of my legs. I've got a crumbling spine and all sorts. And I think that, as a multiple neurodivergent woman and a physically disabled woman as well, it's really important to kind of to talk about just what it's like to live in a day-to-day lifestyle, not knowing how you're going to wake up, how you're going to feel when you wake up, and then kind of having to almost just manage every minute, every hour, every day in a different way. And I often get asked a lot, so how do you manage? And I'm like, I don't know. I can't tell you. It varies. It varies day by day. I also struggle with sleep. I don't sleep very well. And a common thing with people that have got ADHD is not necessarily whether you sleep or not, it's the quality of sleep that you're going to get. So the REM sleep is the most important, because that's the restorative sleep. So REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep, is the bit where your body heals itself. So if you've got diagnosed or undiagnosed ADHD, you're not getting as much REM sleep as other people, and so your body's not really got the same amount of healing that other people do. I'm also studying psychology at the moment. I'm in my first year. And Marianne, you just said all of my misconceptions, so I'm going to try and choose some different ones. So yeah, and I do have a tendency to be a waffle and to talk a lot. And I often like to talk about the differences in symptoms between male and female, whether you're a girl or a boy, or you're a man or a woman. When I was when I was 42, I was promoted at work, and I started working next to someone, and she kindly said to me in the office one day, "You do know you've got ADHD, don't you?" And I actually laughed in her face. And through misconception, it's only naughty, hyperactive little boys that have got ADHD. And she very kindly and very compassionately said to me, "Emma, you've got ADHD." And I was like, "No, I haven't." Like, just no. All kinds of no, 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 no. And actually, it took me a few weeks, but I went away and I Googled it, which is how I learn most things, is Google. I love Google. And then I did a questionnaire thing online, and within the end of the second week, I booked an appointment with my doctor. And thankfully, this was before this massive waiting list in the UK became about. And so I was seen by a psychiatrist and diagnosed very quickly. But currently in the UK, there's no actual medical diagnostics for diagnosing adults with ADHD, and most definitely not with women with ADHD. And I think that you know, being perimenopausal as well since I turned 40 has not really helped me and the ADHD symptoms, because the hormonal changes in women spikes the symptoms of ADHD and can just really create a lot more like really negative self-talk. And I think unfortunately due to my childhood and due to my bullying at school, just due to so many different things, being bullied as an adult, being bullied at work, even after my diagnosis. When I was diagnosed, my employer at the time said to me, "We can't." I didn't know what I knew now. If I knew now about reasonable adjustments and the Equality Act and the discrimination, I was told I couldn't work. I had to work in an open office. I couldn't get up and move around as much as I needed to because, I have excess energy or I have this and I have that. And, then the pain started and I couldn't have an ergonomic desk or an ergonomic chair. It's just the utter was if you're perceived as different, which is how I try and explain it, like we all are different and we're all ourselves. And it's taken me 48 years, which was until last year, to really accept myself as I am. And I've always been told, you talk too much, you're too intense, you're too full on, you're too in your face, you're too this, you're too that. And do you know what? I actually am glad that I'm like this because, yeah, I may be oversensitive and I may be feel rejected sometimes, or I may like rejection sensitivity dysphoria causes physical pain when it's triggered, and it literally is debilitating. And if you think about the other symptoms of having ADHD, emotional dysregulation, the neurotransmitters in my brain have not, or my brain hasn't developed the same way as other people's brain has. So I get a lot of emotional responses to things, and it always used to be anger, and now it is misjustice. I just despise misjustice. I spent 20 plus years advocating for vulnerable people, and advocacy is pretty much I live, breathe, eat, sleep, anything and everything. And if I don't agree with something, then I respectfully will question it and say that's not correct. I don't think that that's not right. This is what. And for the most time, most of the time, I think that everybody's points are valid, but also everybody should have an opportunity to be able to talk about their experiences and to share their thoughts and opinions. And just being raised and having the childhood that I did and having to manage and cope with being different, but not realizing that I was different, and always feeling alone and always being judged and criticized. And if you just, this was at school, if you just tried a little bit harder or try and manage your time better or do this or do that, well, you don't look like you're in pain. What, you in pain 24/7? Yes, and yes. Yes, I am different. Yes, I am oversensitive. Yes, I am quite intense. And yes, I do talk a lot. But you know what? There's a lot of value in the things that I try and say. And there's always like my integrity and my compassion and my empathy. And just like friends will say to me, like, how do you always know the right thing to say at the right time? I don't know, really. I've tried to Google it, but I didn't get a simple answer. So I just kind of do. And I think that's because I've been on the receiving end of so much negative reinforcement. 49 years, I'm 49 years old, and still it goes on, being bullied, narcissistic mother, childhood trauma. There's all of these things that interplay into not just my chronic pain or my physical disabilities, but also into just, always blaming myself, going into that really negative self-talk and all that. Like, I've literally been told that I'm sick, that I am never going to amount to anything, that I've got nothing to offer, and that I'm not intelligent. And actually, that's nonsense. I paused then because I was possibly going to say a swear word, but I'll be respectful of the fact that this is a webinar being recorded. It's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. I started studying in 2023, and within months I was advocating for students like me, and I've been creating fuss in my university since then, because the least supported learning difference in higher education is ADHD, and the only reason of adjustment we could get was a week's extension, and that's not good enough. And it's like people are taking notice, but they are and they aren't, because it's just frustrating anyway. But it's physical disabilities as well. I just think that I get asked so many, what do you mean you don't look like you're in pain? In fact, the worst one I think is if you lost weight, then your pain would reduce. I'm sorry, but that almost makes steam come out of my ears, because I'm just like, what do you mean? It's got nothing to do with my weight, or whether I'm, whether I weigh 8 stone or 18 stone. At the end of the day, that's completely and utterly insensitive. And to say that to anybody is just, it's so derogatory and so disrespectful. And, when I'm trying to study, I've actually learned how to harness my ADHD as a super skill. I use a super skill because I know a lot of people don't like people with ADHD naming themselves as gifted. Well, do you know what? I am gifted in some areas and I'm not gifted in other areas. So I have strengths and weaknesses. And writing things down is my biggest weakness, and academic writing is. But it's just, I think that like 2024, I started just focusing on what my strengths are. And since then, it's through that process and then working with the uni, and then I think finding people that accept me as I am and don't criticize me and don't want to change me and are just love me unconditionally is a new experience for me, because it's just is. I'm still not used to it a lot of the time, but I am getting more used to it. And then just realizing that actually I have a lot to say, but what I do say is vital and is important. And that doesn't mean to say that other people's voices shouldn't be heard. It just means that actually I can use my voice and I can use it and I can make a difference. And, the advocacy stuff that I do now is primarily it's just awareness, positive awareness. This is just one of my misconceptions. ADHD is always looked at as a really negative thing. And there's so much stigma in the world about, behaving differently or being disabled or being in pain or just all of these things. And there's very little that anyone seems to talk about is just the value of being loved and loving other people, the value of accepting yourself, but being accepted by other people, that, that kind of mutual understanding and respect from some of the friends that I have now it's just been the most beautiful experience in my life. And just people don't want anything from me. But they see me as I am. They don't see me like I've always been perceived in the past as defective or, too loud, too intense, too whatever. I do talk a lot. I talk a lot all the time, most of the time. And you know what? Just to be on the receiving end of so much criticism and not really knowing that I had ADHD, or that, my childhood was abusive, which might sound a bit bonkers, but it was. But I didn't know any different. I was a child, and I've always been blamed for everything, and I always thought everything was my fault, and it wasn't. I'm the innocent one. I'm the one that's just tried to kind of find my own way. And so the kind of self-advocacy I do now, and all of the time and effort I put into my studies, and into my personal and professional growth at the moment, because I'm not working currently, I'm just studying part-time, and then just trying to find out about myself and then not explain myself to everybody and to unmask. And like I regularly say, I'm not just Emma, but also I'm not Emma who has ADHD or complex PTSD or fibromyalgia or anything else. I am me. And I'm masking just my authentic self and my authentic personality and talking about things in a way that actually most other people or some other people can really connect to. It has been the most empowering feeling for me. And so, yes, I am in pain 24/7, but it doesn't hold me back. And yes, I have ADHD, and yes, I do talk a lot, and I am very intense, and I am oversensitive, and I have all these things that I have to manage. And I do have like emotional dysregulation, and I'm not able to always manage my emotions. But that doesn't make me any better or any worse than anyone else. And now I think I just implement boundaries and I call it grassing myself up, but it's not. I always am very honest with my capabilities, with my time frames, with and at the core of everything that I do and have done for the last year or so has always been moving towards more self-compassion, raising my self-worth, my self-acceptance, and just to just see me as I am, not as this defective, crazy, hyperactive woman and different person. It's just, I don't know if I'm articulating this properly, but it's like I just feel very empowered by just being me and just owning my stuff, and by just saying, you know, you may you may perceive ADHD or fibromyalgia or any other thing that I have to manage day by day as a disability, but actually I see it as a strength because it's given me insights and it's given me, like, I'm not me because of my childhood, and I'm not me because I was raised by a narcissist. I'm me because I'm me, and my past experiences have enabled me to connect with vulnerable minority people that no one really listens to or no one really wants to listen to, and that enables me to be able to really get in touch with other people and connect with them in a way that a lot of the time they don't have that experience. And I think that just building beautiful, understanding, respectful relationships with women, but also just having the understanding from most people about the differences, and that we're not all a bit ADHD. We're not. It doesn't matter. I can walk into the same, like, if you want to talk about ADHD, and I'm going to be quiet in a minute because I might have been going on for too long. But so when people say to me, "Oh yeah, but we're all a bit ADHD," and I'm like, "So what? No, I need you to tell. What do you mean by that?" Well, we all walk into a room and forget why we went in there. Okay, yeah, and we all can walk around looking for our glasses and they're on our face, or we can all walk around looking for our phone and it's in our hand or in our back pocket. But what people don't understand is, yes, that is a human thing to do. Everybody does do that, but but there's a big difference between doing it because you've got ADHD and doing it because you haven't. So if I walk into a room, yeah, the first thing I do is, why did I come in here? And then I'll see the bins need taken out, or I need to fold that washing, or I need to put the washing machine on, or oh, look at that, I just need to scrub that, or I just need to do this, or I just need to do that. And then before I know it, I've done 20 jobs and then forgot what I came into the so I have to, it's like repeat continuously. And then the extent of that is that my energy levels drop and I'm exhausted and I can't do anything anyway. And so that's that's the extent of what it is to live daily with these disabilities or differences. And then, when it comes to studying, you just need to try harder, or you just need to plan better, or plan your time better. I'm baffled if people say that to me now, because if I could do that, I would. but I find that really challenging to do. So why you telling me that I have to work harder, or I have to put more time in, or I have to just plan or schedule, or like I don't even know how to break the day down into hour. What do you mean I have to decide what I'm going to do in any given hour? Oh, okay. Well, I'm just going to go off and do that. No, I'm not. And procrastination. Someone else called it task paralysis. So if something is boring to me, or if it's complex for me to learn, I just won't do it until I have to do it. And when it comes to my studies, I have to wait for the sense of urgency of the deadline, and then the hyper focus kicks in. And these are just ways. And if I say that to some of my university tutors or anyone else, they have complete meltdowns. They're like, "What do you mean?" And I'm like, "But I don't try and do it differently now. I just do it my way. I'm a visual learner. I like audio. I like videos. I like all sorts of, like, I learn very differently. But you're never, ever going to find another human, well, you probably will, Marianne, that will put more time and effort into making sure that I am and I do achieve. And yeah, I think because of the time, I don't know how long I've been talking for, and I've gone on about 20 tangents, but yeah, I'm happy to take some questions if anyone has any. Thank you.